Welcome or welcome back. If you are paid monthly and you've been having trouble with getting your budget to last throughout the month, today I'll be showing how we break down our monthly budget on a weekly basis because we are paid monthly, and we'll do a cash stuffing, a budget breakdown, and I will show how we do our expense tracking throughout the month. Stay tuned. So we are paid monthly, and at the beginning of the month, we set up our budget and we know how much our variable expenses need to stay around throughout the month. If you're new here, I'm Cuvatis. Thank you for staying tuned. So this is where we left off. This is what our variable expenses, after we put all of our bills and everything onto our budget sheet, this is how much we were left with for our variable spending. All right, so that's why we come from week one. We've got the 250. Okay, so what we did for this week, we did our spending, and I like to go in and I went in this month and I wrote out all of the expenses. So these are all of the expenses for the month of May. Let's see if you can. Okay, so for the month of May, so far, and we are coming up on the last week in May, so I wanted to make sure that we were still on target before we got to the end of the month and ended up not being able to do what we needed to finish doing for the end of the month. So we track our spending and we use a sheet like this, and you see how this sheet is like so nice and planned out looking, and then I do the color coding. But really, all you need is a sheet of paper. The first thing that you would need to do if you're trying to get your budget together is to start tracking your expenses. That's the first thing that you would have to do. Okay, so these are all of the expenditures that we've had for the month of May, and they're coming out of different places because I did swipe the credit card in many instances. Actually, most instances, and our bills come out of one account. We try to keep most of our bills just coming out of one account. And I was looking at, I'm going to insert a clip because I like the way that this one bank, if you put your expenses in one thing, it'll tell you like exactly how much you spent towards different expenses. And I'm going to insert that right here just to show you what I'm talking about, like a little pie graph or whatever. So for us to stay on track, this was our week one. That wasn't the full week. So once I went in and I did the full week, I was able to get all of the information that we needed so that I could have our week one, week two, and our week three spending. So this is what we have. I had to go in and write it here. And the only reason I had to do this is because I was not keeping up with it throughout the month. So don't beat yourself up if you're not keeping up with it throughout the month. You just, need to go back and fill it in as you're going. But I know it seemed like, I know that pretty much we want to stay around, it's like $525 per week for our variable spending. So for week one, we literally spent like $464 from all of our variable expenses. And we'll subtract that amount from the initial $2,100. So we got $2,100 basically. And we spent $464. So we still have this. So our variable spending left us with the $1,636 now going into week two. So that's what we're going to be working with that. My flower over here, give me some more space. All right, so then for week two, this was all of the spending. I didn't spend anything in self-care. So the second week I spent $499, and subtracting that from the $1,636, that left us with $1,137. So, but our groceries, so I'm giving us $250 for groceries. So we are staying well within the grocery range, right? Gas, was a little 82. It went over a little bit because I said 100 here, but I only put 80 in the envelope, but it was fine. And then week two, so that still stayed pretty much where we needed it to stay. But here, week three, so we got $1,137 left. Week three, we ended up spending $610 for everything. And this is a miscellaneous expense. We had someone that we actually kind of helped out with something. And we spent less in our groceries. Gas was more because we actually went out of town last week, and all of that, it ended up being 610, which it kind of helped us that we hadn't spent so much the first couple of weeks, because we're like pacing ourselves. But the thing is anytime you do something and it's from miscellaneous, I'm not giving myself that much for miscellaneous expenses. After a while it will mellow its way out, and we will start to get an extra amount where we have like a bare buffer. But anytime you run into these situations, it has to come from somewhere, and we barely even dine out. Like, even while we were on the road for a full day, we still only spent $64. But so that ended up being 610, but the miscellaneous expense of 203, it threw us for a loop. So with that being said, once we got done with week 3, we now have 527 to budget for our variable spending going into week 4. Right? So week 4 looks like this. Okay, so then what we're planning to do for week 4, you just take out your calculator, and you can just have a regular sheet of paper to do this. You can just write this out on a regular sheet of paper. That's all I did, right? And then I just transfer it to this, because this is what I do keep in my planner, and it just looks more copacetic or whatever. It just looks like a lot, it's just a little more pulled together. So that's the only reason I use it. But you don't actually need, to have all of like the different planner sheets. But I do have some. I will have one linked where you can print one off if you would like to print it off. Okay, so for week 4, we're dealing with the groceries. So let me put the 527 back onto the calculator here. I'm going to move this over. Okay, so we got 527, and we're going to do 250 again for groceries, right? So subtract that. Now we have, what's the next thing? For dining out, we didn't do that much, like going off the last week, so we'll just do 50. We'll do 50 for dining out. I don't know though, the children are out. It may change for us. It might end up changing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And for self-care, I don't have anything coming up, so I'm going to leave this blank for now, okay? But for, let me see, spending for this week, let's do 30. Okay, household, we do have a bunch of things coming up. I do need to get like our plastic bags and trash bags and things like that. And since the children are going to be out, I'm thinking like, probably like do some paper plates and things like that. Because, it's a lot when the kids are out. And let's see, what's the next thing? We got entertainment. Okay, let's drop to gas first. Okay, so I took that off. Gas, we're gonna do 80, even though I just filled up. But we'll still just do that for now. But let's see, let's give the children, since they are out with us, we are going to do, we'll do 30 for them for this week, since this is where we're running. I mean, and they do get an allowance. That's like a part of the things. We use the Acorns app where they can like earn a certain amount. So that's how their allowance goes. But, and then we will do, instead of entertainment, I'm just going to call this the miscellaneous, and that's the buffer. Okay. And it will get the other $37. Okay. And that's how you get your zero-based budget. We've already zeroed it out. I zeroed the budget out here. The monthly budget, I zeroed it out. But then now that we've come to our variable spending for the week, what I'm going to allocate, that's how we're zeroing that out. And then we know that the total is 525 for this week. 527. Okay, 527. And from here, if you're a credit card or debit card spender, you just know how much you need to keep track of as you go. But if you're a cash spender, then you want to break them down. You will just pull out this sheet, and we're going to fill this out together. And this is what you would hand to the teller. Your cash denomination breakdown. And here I'm just going to copy the categories that we are breaking down our denominations for. All right, and in here we'll do this. 100s. If you do 50s, put your 50s there. I don't do 50s. Okay, 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s, okay? Just do that. All right, groceries is 250, so we'll do 200s, 220s, and a 10. That's 250. Dining out, we are doing $50, so we'll do 220s and 110, and that's 50. Spending, we are doing 30, so we will do, so for spending, it's $30, so we're just gonna do 3 10s here. For household, we will do, how much is household? We're getting 50, so we will do 220s and a 10. Gas is just gonna get 4 20s because it's $80. The kids are getting 30, so they will get, I like to get them small denominations, so they will get a 10 and 4 5s, and then the miscellaneous buffer is 37, so we'll do a 20, a 10, a 5, and 2 1s, okay? All right, and now let's bring those down. That is 2, 4, 6, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 5 5s, and then 2 singles. All right, so then this represents $200. This is 220, right? That's $80. That is 25, and that's $2, okay? So then we got 200, 420, that's 500, 525, and 527. Right? All right, and that's our 525. And this sheet is what you would take to the teller, or, you know, if you have a cash breakdown card, I will have some linked, but you don't have to have all of the fancy budgeting things to get started with your cash stuffing journey. You can just make your own. That's what I'm doing here today. All of these things we're doing ourselves. And all of these are the things that keep us on track so that we know we've got your cash planned out and everything. And all you have to do is go to the bank and get your money out. And the cash stuffing is coming up right here. Okay, let's get this cash counted. All right, and 1, 200, 20, 40, 60, 80, 3, 20, 40, 60, 80, 400, 20, 4 is 420, 430, 440, 450, 460, 470, 480, 490, 500, 510, 520, 525, 6, and 527, and that is correct. All right, we're going to pull out our variable expenses binder. That's this black binder that I'm using, and these envelopes are on my shop. There are the vellum, and they have the scriptures printed on the bottom. Groceries are getting $250 today. The normal $250, 1, 2, 20, 40, $250. All right, dining out, and we haven't been doing bad in dining out, but it's gonna get just $50. All right, 20, 40, $50. Self-care, I'm gonna skip. If I need something, it will just come out of spending this week. Spending this week is getting a $30 added today. It's getting $30 for spending. All right. Household is getting 50 because I do need to get some extra things for the house. You know, the trash bags and stuff like that. So that's going to be for spending. Gas is getting 80, 40, 60, 80. Even though we did kind of just fill up, I got like 3/4 of a tank. but can never be too sure. And kids is getting 10, 20, 30. $30 this week. The miscellaneous is getting the rest, 20, 35, 36, 37, because that's what was left. Like we were $2 under budget, even after just doing like miscellaneous things. So, and when I swipe my card, this is what I use. All right, and that's it for my variable spending wallet. And I am going to put up a shot of the new envelopes that I've placed into the shop. They are the butterfly envelopes, and I did the rainbow colors. And if you made it this far, go ahead and leave a butterfly emoji in the comments. It doesn't matter which color. And I think, honestly, it's usually only, it's like one blue one that pops up. But these are, I tried to do the Roy G. Biv. I believe I'm just missing teal. But these are the A7 size, and they will be available as well in the A6 size, and there will be a pink one, so that will be the seventh color for the rainbow. All right, until next time, have a great one. Bye.